Every person on Earth with 2 brain cells to rub together has an opinion on almost everything these days, ranging from the simple and mundane, such as what they want to eat for tea tonight, all the way to the more complex and controversial, like whether their country should be funding a war in Ukraine where their own citizens can't afford to heat their homes, and should doctors be allowed to chop off children's genitals.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
While most people might only discuss these issues with their mates after a few too many pints at the local, it's usually left to the privileged elite making those bigger decisions on behalf of the plebs. But every once in a while, a person with a pre-established fan base comes along to speak up for the little guy who kind of liked them in that thing they were in where they were the good guy and won and got the girl or something. People like Ronald Reagan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jesse the Body Ventura, Clint Eastwood, Donald J. Trump. And now joining that list is Tamil film legend Kamal Hassan. But while the characters these actors play on the big screen may appeal to their voter base, the reality is that these celebrities are also extremely privileged individuals whose daily lives are far more luxurious than the average person they represent ever will be, and are therefore vulnerable to being out of touch with the common man on real everyday issues people face. It's problems like this that led to the controversy in Vikram, which featured the word Ondrium in its song, with an interpretation of this alluding to the unionist government being thieves and potentially instigating a caste-based conflict, at least according to some online articles. And as an Englishman that's completely on the outside of this situation and probably even just butchered the pronunciation of the controversial word in question, my opinion on this is probably wanted as much as a 26-year-old is by Leonardo DiCaprio.
You're hitting the wall.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
But, in general, I think political agendas are best left out of films or television. Anyway, Vikram is an action thriller and part 3 of the newly imagined Lokesh cinematic universe that I only just learned about and seem to be watching in reverse order. Speaking of which, Kayethi was mostly a boring slog, and I don't recommend that one at all. But Vikram, on the other hand, was an intriguing story featuring betrayal, black ops investigations, drugs, hostages, organised crime, and a ton of cool action scenes. The acting is great, the pacing held my attention for the entire length, and the bass-heavy tunes along with the slow-motion poses got me psyched up whenever they hit. Now, normally when I make a video for a movie, I can pull out a bunch of daft scenes to make jokes about. But I think the biggest compliment I can probably give this film is the only scene that actually made me laugh, for the wrong reason, was this dude rolling his face into his glasses to show he's ready to kick some arse now. And the lens pop was an extra little unnecessary touch. But besides that, the film was great and delivered the correct ratio of over-the-top action, comedy, and drama I've come to crave and expect. It also used some really interesting camera work and choreography that brilliantly synced the action and music together, much nicer than the usual stream of quick cuts you typically see in fight scenes. So everyone involved in that, in front of and behind the camera, deserves a lot of praise for their craft. And finally, according to the research I did on Wikipedia, this is only the director's 4th movie. But I think he seems to have hit his stride perfectly with this one, and with the teaser at the end, I'm genuinely excited to see where he takes this franchise next, and whether he'll keep the cinematic universe to himself, or if it will eventually branch off with multiple directors over the years in the same way as the MCU. A genuine thanks to anyone who recommended this to me, and I myself now highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it yet. Do yourself a favour and skip Kayethi though. Maybe just read the plot on Wikipedia so you get the few tie-in references. As always, cheers for watching. Ta-ra.